Welcome back, everybody. Today's not going to be a fun video. It's going to be a serious video because I've got something I have to get off my chest. As you may or may not know, I coach people, I have clients, and most of those clients are young males. And something has basically been brought to my attention, a reoccurring topic and a reoccurring sentiment from young men, and I'll be tackling it. I'll be speaking about men from a male perspective. I'm not gonna talk about women. I'm not gonna bring women into it because I'm a man, and in this particular topic, I don't feel like I really have the right or the knowledge to speak on the female side of things. So I'm just gonna speak to men, which does not mean that it's not gonna be useful to women. And the topic that I'm talking about is unprotected sex, right? And one of the things, I'll start off with this. When I walk around, when I take a look around in society, I can't help but feel like there's a lot of unfit parents. I'm not a parent myself, and I know people right now might go like, who are you to judge? Who are, like, hey, you can, you know, feel free to have your opinion, but I really don't feel like I'm saying something crazy, like out of this world or controversial when I state that I think there's a lot of people that are parents that probably should not be parents. And that brings me to the topic of unprotected sex. So, again, it's been brought to my attention that a lot of men feel that the decision whether or not to be a dad, to be a father, to raise their child is supposed to be made at the point when the woman comes forward and breaks the news like, look, took a test, I was late on my period, I'm pregnant. And a lot of men seem to think that that's the point in time where they are at a crossroads, where they get to decide, I'm going to raise the kid and be a dad, or I'm going to try and convince the woman to get rid of it and tell her that if she decides not to get rid of it, I'm not going to be around because I don't want to be a dad at this point in time. Like, I'm not going to be present in the child's life. And that's where you got to twist it. The decision whether or not you would potentially become a father and would want to take up that role is made the second that you decide to have unprotected sex. It is the second that you have this internal little scale. And on one hand of the scale is your pleasure. And now I'm talking directly to men, because let's keep it real for a second. We're guys. We all know how it is. And we all know how we talk to each other about using a condom. Plot twist. There's not a single man in the universe that enjoys the use of a condom. It sucks. It takes away a bunch of the pleasure, a bunch of the feeling. I mean, how many times, if I would have a euro or a dollar for every time the guy told me, like, whenever I put on a condom, I don't even know, like, I feel like I'm having sex with a plastic bag. Like, it just takes away the joy. I'm unable to have an orgasm. And even worse, like, a lot of guys experience erectile dysfunction from using a condom. Cat's out the bag, Let's talk about the elephant in the room. That's a real thing. And I don't see a lot of people talking about that, but that's a real thing. And if you're a guy, and if you've been around and you've gotten busy, you know what I'm talking about. And maybe not, like, I'm not saying this is the case for everyone. I'm saying it definitely happens. But, like, let's just keep it in a general sense. And let's just keep it at, it sucks. And those guys don't like to use it, and including me. I don't enjoy it. But, and this is it, this is the most important but, every damn time I make that little equation in my head, I'm like, pleasure, caught in the moment, joy, want to maximize this experience. It's like, and then there's this other side. And it's like, baby, baby, baby. And guess what? Because I apply rationality and logic to my life every single time, the baby argument wins, as it should. As it should. So let me ask you a question, again, speaking directly to the men. Why are so many men acting as if they basically never went to high school and they never got that typical lane? Like, I remember when I got that class, when that special teacher came in the room and was like, look, today we're going to talk about sex. And then everybody giggles and stuff. But, like, I paid a minimum of attention, and it became very clear to me that the only way to make sure that you're not going to make a little human is by using a condom. Like, if the woman's using a pill, it works most of the time, but it's not bulletproof. It's not. It's not. And then, like, I'm baffled by how many men in 2023 think that pulling out and not coming inside is the way to go. It is like a safe way to not have kids. Like, did you guys just like completely miss that class where they explained to you that you're already basically, I'm not a doctor, but that you're already leaving sperm behind basically before you come? I don't even know the word in English, but you know what I'm talking about. The pre-cum, I guess. I guess that's what they call it. But, like, did you guys miss that whole part? How are people going like, oh, but she calculated that she's not on her days and I pull out, so then we're good. I'm like, what? Hold up. You're telling me you are putting your faith, your future, your literal entire existence, your life, into the hands of this other person, and you're going all in on her math skills, on her calculation skills? That's what we're doing? Like, how is that? How does that make sense? And I know I'm a bit of a control freak. I'll own up to that. But I'd much rather be a control freak than to have to wait for days and weeks in sheer panic when she's late on her period. Like, oh my God, I hope I didn't get her pregnant this time. Like, really? So basically, what a lot of men are doing is they're using the argument of the heat of the moment. I got caught in the heat of the moment. I didn't think about it. Yes, you did. You did think about it, but you didn't care. You didn't really care because you have the illusion, you seem to think that you still have the option to get out, to opt out later down the line, like 10 months later, 9 months later. You seem to think like, oh, but then, I can talk to her. No, that is when the decision is made, in the moment. The moment you decide not to use a condom, that is when the decision is made. And if she turns out to be pregnant, however likely or unlikely, and man, I know so many people that had unwanted pregnancies. It turned out great, and in the end, they were super happy, and it was a blessing in disguise and all that stuff, but it was not planned. And let me tell you, like, that'll, to put it nicely, that'll change your life in more ways than one. And if you actually think that you get to make that decision later on to whether or not you want to be in that child's life, like, my honest opinion about you, you're not really, you're kind of subhuman. That's animalistic behavior. And that's me trying to be nice about it. Like, Call me old-fashioned, call me old school, call me conservative, but if you think that you can just, do your thing, have your fun, and then leave a woman to fence on her own, like carry the baby, deliver the baby, and then have to, be a single mom and raise it by herself, if you think that is a viable option, then I don't really know, you know, what to call you besides, you're like, I cannot look at you and like my equal. You don't have any moral values or empathy or ethics for that matter. You're a wild animal following your urges, giving into your urges all the time, not caring about the consequences. So I need you to really understand that. The decision is made in the moment. And can we please stop acting like being horny and wanting to have sex? Like, I've been there. Trust me, I've been there plenty of times. But can we just, you know, it's not like you turn into a different person. It's not like, oh my God, like, it feels like heroin. It feels like ayahuasca. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. No, you do. You're just really horny. It's the same thing. People being hungry and acting like assholes. You making that decision. Oh, I'm hungry. I get hangry. No, you're just a child. We're all hungry, but we're deciding not to be angry at the others and take it out on the others because then it sucks. That's what children do. They get into their emotions immediately. So if you're doing that, you have that choice. You do. And I'll say one thing to women. One thing. Breaking my promise. I said I wouldn't, but I feel like more women should also really be thorough about that and be like, yo, use a condom. Really. Do it. Stand on that. Unless you're willing to live with the consequences. Now, if you're willing to live with the consequences, and if you're down with that, then discard everything I said, then this video is not for you, then we're good. You're good. We're on the same page here. But I really just had enough of, sometimes, man, when I talk to people, man, I feel like at some point I went back and rehashed all this sexual education I got, but am I tripping? Am I, I hear that all these people just having unprotected sex, and I must have missed something. I must have misheard. So I went to check up on the data, and I was like, no, it's correct. Not to mention the STDs. We're not even gonna talk about all the STDs that are out there right now, but that's a whole different story. But it's just at least you're not harming anyone else. It's just you're messing up your own body. But it's just wild to me how people, and I really feel like this is such a big taboo. No one speaks about it, and it's just generally accepted. We're all just yeah, we know, but not really, or we don't care. And then all of a sudden, boom, the reality hits. And now I'm supposed to feel bad for you? Now you're telling me you're depressed? Now you're crying? Dude, man the fuck up. You made that decision. That's your call. We don't have enough people accepting the consequences of their actions. And if you're a young man and you're surrounded by your peers who are sexually active and they're telling you man, I just pull out and I did it, they'll be the first ones. They'll be pushing that stroller. They'll be pushing that baby carriage. A couple of years. I've seen it happen. Again, at some point I was questioning my own sanity. I was thinking it must be me. Because it was happening, people then talk. Didn't take that long to see the first dudes pushing that baby. I'm and then they want to come to, this is Then these motherfuckers have the audacity to come and complain to a rational, logic person like me and tell me, man, you don't know how lucky you are. You don't got kids. Man, you don't know how good you have it. Well, no, motherfucker. I got it good because I followed through. I stayed consistent. I understood what they explained to me. I understand basic biology. It's not the reason I'm not a father at the age of 34 is not because I got lucky. This is by design. And your situation is also by design. But again, they're still not owning up to it. They're still like, oh, man, I can't believe Dr. said chances for 1 in a million this would have happened, and it did. Well, that's on you. Reason I'm 34 and I don't got to worry about raising a kid with someone that I'm not in love with is because I was consistent, is because, hey, I sacrificed. I sacrificed pleasure. I had awkward situations. All of that. Wasn't great sometimes. But guess what? It was damn sure worth it. So yeah, that's it. That's all, man. Please, please, please think about this one. If you're young and sexually active, use protection. It'll be the best decision you'll ever make. That's all.